Weight of mountains, it falls on your shoulders. The whole world like Atlas you bear. But beneath this weight you struggle forward. And I wonder how this can be fair. Strength of heart, strength of spirit, through it all, you can bear it. All hell and its angels give way to the fight. You are winning today. Careful steps moving to the horizon. One wrong step, a disaster could be. And though tears lie your sight, you keep going, trusting God that He'll help you to see. Strength of heart, strength of spirit, through it all, you can bear it. All hell and its angels give way to the fight. You are winning today.
I am Emilia and
I'm Ryan Allen.
and we are transparency.love.platform, and we are the podcast for transparency. And what we stand for are in our values, is focused around those basic principles, our core values, and our spirituality and our faith. And I am an entrepreneur. I am a musician. I am a biblical counselor and chaplain.
And I am also an entrepreneur, a writer, a musician, and happy to be here.
And we have a guest with us today, and this is Michelle. I believe that certain paths are supposed to cross, and I was so blessed to pass meet these lovely people. So Michelle, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, that's a big, when you've lived a longer life, that's a bigger question. But I am a person of faith. I am a person of also doing things. I have been very, very blessed in my life with many, many gifts and many good things that have happened, but some rather less than perfect things. So I am at an age where I'm supposed to be getting wiser. I don't know whether I'm doing that, but I'm certainly trying. In the last 3 years, I have had significant medical problems that I've had most of my life. Since my 20s, I've been diagnosed with autoimmune issues, which, if anyone knows anything about that, just all kinds of stuff. But my eyes have been bad. So the last year in particular, I used to volunteer a lot. I used to do a lot of things that made me feel good because I was helping other people feel good, and I have not been able to do that. So Emma came into my life through reaching out to one of my friends and saying, if you know anyone who can, be a caregiver for me for a few hours. Yeah, and that's kind of how we met, and it really has been a blessing. She's with me in the ER room and the doctor's offices.
I advocate.
Everything. So
for
so I was married for almost 41 years, and I've been a widow for almost 15 years. So my first question was, what the heck am I doing on a dating site? Because this is not happening again. I'm not in any way looking. I've been a widow since I was 59, so I'm not looking for anything. But as she explained what was going on, we'll just let the Spirit take it from there.
I love that. Thank you for sharing all that, and you're having your vulnerability and your story out there. And I know you've been through so much, and between your health and losing your husband and kind of finding that identity again, because it's that struggle. Losing that identity can be hard because you have done so many wonderful things. You're a mother, a wife, and a volunteer, and you've served in so many ways, and your faith has always been so admirable. And my question was for you is like we had this conversation before about the spiritual, the difference between spirituality and faith, and I feel like you have both of that. And so tell us a little bit about how faith has been kind of that center of your life.
Well, it was, I really owe it to my family, the family of origin, and I really believe in this, even if I was born and raised a Catholic, and if anyone were to ask me what my culture was, there was a thing we had in our church some years back, and Hispanic or Latino or whatever, Polish, and I am German, that type of culture, but that's not what I identify with. If anyone were to ask me, I would say I am Catholic. That was my identity as a child. Went to Catholic school for 12 years. Was not super holy, was not super bad. I was just kind of middle of the road. I did know Latin, however, much better than the boys.
Yes.
I remember in the 50s being extremely upset and seeing the injustice of why girls could not be altar girls. I vividly remember that because the boys were so stupid.
Yes, and
so stupid, and I got the Latin and I could do it. Funny story is I wound up going to a Catholic girls' school, and we did get to serve as altar girls. And I had forgotten that teenage girls giggle and can set each other off. And so two of us are there, and one of us breaks down, and we were giggling, and it was like, oh, that's why, probably. Anyway, so it's always been a part of my life. My husband was Catholic. I didn't meet him because he was Catholic. We just discovered we were Catholic. One of our first dates was to a mass, and so I credit him with kind of just letting me trust a man enough, because my father was not the best father. He was kind of alcoholic and physically and mentally abusive. And I credit my husband to that faith that God can be a good God, and in a masculine form. So and then we went on a marriage encounter weekend, which is not so big now. Back in the 70s, 80s, it was very big communication device for couples with good marriages. So started out in the Catholic Church, has since branched out.
And even those difficult marriages, because you felt supported in that, centered around faith and those spiritual beliefs, and having that kind of outline help these things, having to dig deep within yourself, and that's kind of like what we stand for, and what our whole platform is centered around, is having those resources available to people with the guidelines of those 12 steps, with, again, those basic principles and core values. And so I want to hear more about that marriage encounter, because we've had conversations about this, and I love you to share.
It almost seems that it would be, in the day-to-day grind, when you're just trying to get up in the morning and work through the things. We had 3 kids, within 4 years. So I went from, a high school kid, super active in everything, and president and straight A student, and all of a sudden I'm at home with 3 small kids, and it's like, and he's working, at that time, maybe 3 or 4 jobs, trying to keep us going, and we were always involved in going to church, but that's kind of really where it ended. But again, we had those core values. I don't know if we would ever have gotten to the point where we ended up after marriage encounter on our own. I can remember before the weekend, as I call it, looking at, like, you'd see a car, just married, and they'd have the balloons and stuff on it or whatever was on it, and I'd say, sucker, 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 So I'd been married maybe 6 or 7 years by that point. So obviously the glow was was off, shall we say. But the marriage encounter, because it was faith-based, I think was a big thing. And also because it was just they put you in a hotel room in a hotel place with other couples that have good marriages, but you're listening to other couples that are sharing their stories. You listen to a priest. What's a priest doing on a marriage weekend? Here I go, a widow on a dating app. But I never thought about that. Made the connection there. But it taught us a way to communicate our feelings and to build up trust.
Yeah.
And again, at that point, it was only for good marriages. In fact, we heard stories of couples that wound up divorced afterwards because it just opened up so much of transparency.
Yeah.
We didn't call it that back then. We just called it being open.
And our society is a little different on how we see and perceive love, or even those basic core values.
I think, we've definitely had a shift in moral values over the last few decades.
Yes.
So we're trying to change that. We're trying to change that and kind of bring back those traditional beliefs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to be done. And I don't know whether, as I said, just a normal couple in the grit and grind of life, when they're just trying to put food on the table and keep the kids halfway sane, whether they have time for that, unless there are people, things, whatever it is now. Back in my day it was people and weekends and all that. Now it's Zoom and who knows what else. But they need the help.
Yeah.
And do both have to be open to it? It helps. Yeah. I can remember going on our first weekend. We've been on others, but I went into it thinking, well, they're gonna point out all the things that Bill does wrong, because I was perfect, of course.
Of course we are. Right?
I knew exactly what I was doing, but they're gonna be able to. He'll be able to see all the things that he did wrong, and that was not the way it went at all. It was like, oh, I'm the problem.
Like
I have issues I have to deal with, and I had a lot of them. I mean, I absolutely credit God with the fact that we made it at all before that, and then there was the rest of the support after. But when I think of the early years, I just think, God, how did we do that? How did He put up with me? Because I was messed. I wasn't messed up, but
we're all broken people. We all come from a broken place.
People.
We are, but I feel like if we, if you have a spouse who's supportive and has that willingness to change, has that willingness to really work on the relationship or marriage, focusing just on that one person, not from other distractions of life and distractions by other people. It does. It helps you build that rapport with each other and build trust and again, those principles and really living that way, living those beliefs.
And I think it's such a big thing to because I guess even now I would tend, maybe I might think different, but back then culturally, you didn't look at someone and go, oh, do you believe in God? Do you believe in the Ten Commandments? Do you go? I should have. I went to Catholic school for 12 years, and thank God we were past that point where that was the only option, was to get married and raise 20 kids. That wasn't part of it was the 60s. It was free love and hippies and all that. We didn't have that, but I wouldn't have thought about that. Everything was about bottom line, lust, attractiveness.
And we were actually talking about that, the difference between what lust and love is,
and they're not the same.
No, and lust is the idea of what you think that person is, but love is that unconditional kind of love. And for me, and I think you too,
Yeah.
Michelle, we have struggled to feel that kind of love for ourselves, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
And so us
Absolutely.
trying to recognize or even accept that someone might feel that way about
Yeah,
us
yeah.
is difficult for us. That it's like
Yeah.
we're almost rejecting that, and it's
Yeah.
like we don't mean to reject it, but we do reject it. And why would we reject something that is, you know, a gift from our higher power?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know it's easier said than done, definitely, because you know, but at the same time, that's how I am trying to look at it, and also
Yeah.
feel like,
And that-
you
that's
know, I am deserving of great things. I
Yeah.
am deserving of being with somebody that values me enough. But it's not even about that other person. It's about feeling that within,
Yeah.
feeling that within yourself.
And I can, and that's a very good point, and one that I've not thought about is, because when I first met Bill, well, I first met him when I was 15, and then he went off into service, and we didn't see each other, and then he came back, and I was between guys, and you know, then it just went very, very quickly after that. But you know, I had, as I said, I grew up with in a wonderful family where, you know, we love each other dearly, but my dad physically strangled me at one point. I mean, you know, my brother had to come and get him. I can see the picture in my head at this point. I realize now that probably messed me up. You think?
Yeah.
But you know, we didn't talk about it. We just didn't talk about it.
Especially, I mean, even
In the, you
growing
know,
up,
yeah,
we didn't talk about our feelings. We
yeah,
didn't talk
I mean,
about
my
things that
dad
happened
was,
to us.
yeah.
No.
well, you just didn't
It
talk
was
about
looked
it.
down upon.
Yeah,
Like
you're-
it was.
Yeah.
You're a failure, or you're a
Well,
disappointment.
yeah,
or
you're not good
Yeah,
enough.
you're embarrassment,
Yeah, yeah.
embarrassing
Yeah.
our status and our pride, you know, and that's sad though, because that's a part of our story.
And that's a part of what I brought into the relationship that I didn't even know I had.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bill had been in the service in Vietnam. He had just come back from a year on the river. So he would go onto a patrol boat every day and shoot at whoever was shooting at him, or whoever they thought was shooting at him. I think it had a profound effect on him that I did not appreciate until maybe the last 20 years, that it just must have changed him. And that was God's plan. So when we got married, and it was lust, and it was, he was like, "I'll love you forever," and I'll be,
Yeah.
you know, and you know, and I'm thinking,
We're like, what?
yeah, maybe,
Forever?
maybe,
It's a long
but
time.
you know, now I realize I struggle to love myself now.
Mhm.
How could I love myself as an almost 19-year-old?
Yeah.
You know, that took a lot of work, and it did take a lot of work, but we had help. We had help from mostly, I guess I could say, totally our church community and our family, not mine so much, but his. He came from a very Catholic family that, you know, had the 8 kids and the 9 kids and the 7 kids, you know, celebrated 60 years of marriage and 50 years, and I was like, it can happen?
Yeah.
You can actually stay married? Wow.
And we don't see that anymore, because people of our generation, most of us, especially we either have kids, or we've been married before,
Or both.
or both, yeah,
Or
or
both,
both,
yeah.
or multiple times.
And that's sad.
And it is sad
Just
because
that-
again, but the thing was that, again, you and I are a lot alike because we don't see our value. But the thing is, I didn't have the greatest childhood either. I mean, I was very privileged and I had a lot of amazing experiences, and faith was always a huge part of my life. My faith saved me for sure, but again, it was, I created my own family because I didn't really have one. And so that's how I look at it, Michelle, is that, you know what, even though I have a lot of trauma with my past and whatnot, but the past also does not define who we are, but also we get to be in control of how we choose to live it.
But for many of us, that's a long, hard journey.
It is, and there's no time frame, there's no finish line, because we're always a work in progress.
Yeah.
And there's no shortcut.
No, and
You have to go
you
through
know,
the
I
whole
mean, like I tell my grandkids, if if you're the same person at 35 that you were at 18, God help you.
Yeah, there's something wrong.
I mean, something is wrong.
Yeah.
And you take two people that have grown and you put them in a marriage, and of course you're not going to be this. You shouldn't be the same people. And unless you work on being in love, being married, whatever you're working at, unless you work on being married, how do you expect it not to fall apart?
Yeah.
And it just amazes me is they think they can just, no, you're not going to love the same
Right.
after 5 years of marriage. You're not.
No, because
And you
you're hoping.
shouldn't.
Yeah, you're hoping that you're growing and changing
Yeah.
and developing together, not just
Together,
separately.
right,
Because if
exactly.
it's one person or the other,
No,
there's no
it's not. And
it's
you're
not gonna work.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, it's not gonna work because
And if you're not talking to each other,
Right.
how the heck are you going to know who that person is? Because I've changed in my view, and that's really what I think I miss. One of the things I miss the most about Bill, the person, who would irritate me sometimes, and leave the cupboard door open and all of that. And I mean that, but it's just we could look across a room and look at each other and remember, I'm never going to have that again, because I'm never going to know anyone from when I was 15 and have those shared memories. So it's beyond the lust. It's beyond the love. It's agape. We call it agape. It's that love union that is just two people who mostly like each other for the most of the time.
Usually.
He'd probably drive me crazy now, but I don't know. I don't know, but it's been a long time. But it was always the faith. I think that as you look back and you go, okay, well, what worked?
Yeah.
And it was always the fact that I've been loved by a God with immense mercy and can overlook my many flaws and my mistrust of Him, because I do. When I do go, this ain't gonna work, God. I don't like this. I don't like widowhood. I lost a child to cancer.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
If it had been my idea, I'd have gone this way. But So,
I think, Michelle, that you are a beautiful person and that your struggles have helped
she's getting
you.
paid for this.
Just maybe. No. No, you are a beautiful person. You are so strong in everything that you have gone through. I can't imagine losing a spouse. I can't imagine losing a child. I can't imagine losing, feeling like you're losing your identity. But I want you to know that you've changed my life coming into my life, and you have this beautiful sense of awareness and just now I'm getting emotional about it. It's just
As you can't, and we'll all break down.
you have so much spirit about you, and I love having these kind of conversations, and I wanted Michelle to be the one that came on first to shed some light on those difficult times and those difficult struggles, but how she's overcome them and how we are a work in progress. But the beauty of that, and I do think that to have that is that the center becomes the center of your faith and what you do believe. And so we just wanted to thank you for being a part of this and sharing your story with us. And that's pretty much what our podcast is about, and what our dating site and our music represents is all those things that Michelle and us talked about. And that's, again, centered around those basic values and our core values, but again, our faith.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Is there anything,
I-
Ryan, you would like to say?
I do have a question. I know that you're going through some difficult health issues, correct?
Yeah, kind of,
How are you being able to use your faith to be able to get through those times?
Sure. And boy, one of the things that I have realized is that there's a song by Laura Story. I don't know if you're familiar with. I think she's a Christian writer. I'm not necessarily Catholic, but she's Christian. And it's what if you're, I don't remember the exact words now, but it's like, what if the bad things in your life are actually your mercies? Because without, I also have a son that's an addict and is going through cancer treatment right now too. So just if I think about it, I could totally crash. But I hopefully try to be grateful for the things that I do have. And I just lost my train of thought. So this is what happens on a senior moment when you just don't realize. But when I look back at the things that I've gone through, the being diagnosed with things from an early age, and my poor husband having to put up with it, and going through and him getting the addict. My son was molested, and then it just led to addiction, and it's just been all bad. Many years of bad. And my husband getting sick, and my daughter dying, and all of that. I can look back now and go, I wouldn't have turned to God in prayer as often if everything had been hunky-dory. Of course I wouldn't have.
Right.
Of course. God, dummy human. So you don't like it at the time because you're going, God, help me. This isn't, whatever's going on now, I don't like it. Take it away from me. That's our plea. Take it away.
Did you ever feel like, with your faith as being as strong as it is, did you ever feel like God was giving up, or that you ever felt like maybe He was
absolutely not
punishing you?
No,
I mean, some people would see it as like
surprisingly, yeah, and that would be a normal reaction, and I don't know.
Like, how has God failed me?
I think this is where being brought up in a home where God was, it was just part of our lives, that I for whatever reason, and the God of the 50s in my life as a child is not the God that I know now, because he was an old man with white hair and a beard, and you're going to hell and fire and damnation. If you eat a bite of bologna on a Friday because you forget that it's Friday, you're going to hell. No paths. So it's a much different God that I know, but I thankfully, again, focusing on the things that I do have. Like today, my vision is really bad. That's why I had to get the caregivers, because I couldn't drive anymore. These two look really good. I actually have no idea what they look like, but they're I think they got dark hair and glasses. It's a good day.
It is. We dressed really nice for you,
Yeah,
Michelle. We did. We did. Thank you.
Did I ever feel like God was punishing me?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Have I questioned Him?
Yeah.
A million times. Will I question Him later today if I can't do something? Sometimes I can see the phone. Sometimes I can't. I have a wonderful prayer app on my phone that obviously I can hear, but to get to it sometimes I can't see to get to it. That frustrates me, and I have to go down a little bit, and then I have to, okay, I'm grateful for what I have today, and it's obviously I don't need this right now, or it would be available. So I'm working on the trust, and just believing that God is good. Yeah. I've always believed God is good. I've always believed that He loved me. It's my unworthiness. Do I deserve
And that God is bringing people into your life.
Yes.
To help you with the things that you struggle with.
And the other part of that is because I've always been a giver, to receive is hard. So I don't, I have prayed for, okay, God, if I can help just one person. I don't have to go, change the world. I don't have to go do this big thing or that big thing, or, volunteer here or there. Just one person. And, and God has sent me different people along the way that you know, after a while I can go, if I helped that person, maybe I didn't hurt them anyway. You know, so
Yeah, and that's what it kind of stems from, is our faith and our belief. But at the same time, for us, it's just about getting out there and helping at least one person.
yeah, and
Because if
that's
one person reaches
and that's
one
really
person,
yeah. I mean,
they're gonna
that's-
pass it along, and for us, it's about paying it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that could be the simplest thing, you know, if you're physically challenged or even mentally challenged, you know, if you can bring a smile to someone's face once a day, wouldn't it be awesome? I mean,
Yeah.
that's really as basic as it gets. So if I can go through a day and you know, even if, you know, because there are days when I don't speak to anyone. I don't speak to anyone on the phone. It's just me and this little place, and I love it. But I can pray, and I do pray. You know, I pray for for my family, of course. But you know, I'll hear the news story about a homeless person. I'll pray for all the homeless people.
Yeah.
You can make a difference. It's just getting in your head that. But I've been so blessed, despite all, you know, worse things have happened to other people. Oh my God, so much worse things. But God has always been there. He's always been with me, and I mean, I thank Him for that. But I also just thank the people that have come into my life and
Surround
you
you with
know,
love.
yeah.
Yeah, actually, Michelle and I had an amazing experience. So we, Michelle wanted to go to, what was the church's name? You and I?
The Cathedral of the Madeline in Salt
Cathedral
Lake
of
City.
the Madeline, beautiful. And we were just gonna go there and light
Light
candles and pray. But on this day that we decided, the two of us, to go, we actually had multiple choirs and a service happen, but multiple choirs there sang, and all we had to do was look at each other and feel the spirit of God's love around us.
Yeah,
And
that's awesome.
if it had been anybody else, they may have not appreciated the way that Michelle and I did. And for me, that's something that I'm always going to remember, because that's
always.
where I felt that love of you, and I just felt at peace.
Yeah.
And it was such a beautiful experience, because for Ryan and I, it's about our music, and that's how we connect with our Heavenly Father, and our higher power is through music, creating music, and then sharing that. And so I wanted to share that story, and I'm just so happy that you were willing to come on and allow yourself to share the story with us. It's meant a lot. Ryan,
I don't know whether I appreciate the experience, because this is at my
Michelle
age.
did very good.
This is still very, very new to things, and and I know this is the future, and it's not.
We are the future.
We used to make we used to do skits on commercials back in high school, where we'd act out a commercial. That was really big at that time. That we've gone way beyond that. So thank you for allowing me to grow in my technological experience and stuff. I appreciate. I don't know whether I've helped, but
You have.
You have.
You have. Ryan,
Edit,
would you like to
edit,
say
edit.
something?
Get it down to that kernel
Would you
of
like to
information
say
where I look
anything?
wonderful and
You do. You look wonderful.
I have no idea.
You do.
I haven't seen myself in the mirror really clearly. I have no idea.
You look great.
The face creams are working.
Ryan,
So
is there anything you'd like to say to Michelle for joining us today?
Yeah, you mentioned, that if you're able to just help one person and give them a little bit of a better life, just a smile, I can guarantee you that that's happened today, and that people will see this, and you will have lightened their lives. You've lightened ours. So thank you.
Thank you. And I don't know where the Spirit is leading with this, why, or why me or someone else, but I'm gonna go with it, because a year from now we'll look back and go, oh, that's why.
Yep.
Yeah, and I truly feel the Spirit, and I feel God's love when I'm around you. And so I wanted to share that. And again, we are transparency.love.platform. Like us, subscribe, comment on our Instagram, and share. And we'll be every Thursday we will be doing a podcast. So thanks again for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
Fighting past the wrongs, ignoring all fears. On your lips are the songs that the whole world will hear. You will conquer all, and your fear will fall. As in triumph, your shout fills the air. Though your strength is enough to bear sorrow, and your courage alone can pull through, I offer my arm, weak as it is, to lighten the burden for you. Strength of heart, strength of spirit, through it all, you can bear it. All hell and its